Alrighty, everybody. We'll go ahead and get started and let people trickle in as they do over the next few minutes. So first off, I want to say welcome everybody to our webinar. Thank you for coming to our webinar, See Lexis Plus for Yourself. My name is Jalen Nelson, and I'm an assistant marketing manager here at LexisNexis. Before we get started, I want to go over a few housekeeping items. Firstly, this webinar will run for about 45 minutes or so. So the first 30 to 35 will cover the presentation and a demo of Lexis Plus. And with the rest of the time, we'll go ahead and hop into some Q&A. So if you have any questions you'd like for us to cover, just enter them in the chat box. That's located at the bottom right hand of your screen. So don't worry about if a question arises later or you miss something. We'll be sending out a recording of this webinar so you can rewatch at a later time. If you're interested in trying out the product, we are offering free 7-day trials. You can learn more about that at our website at lexisnexis.com, as well as we'll be providing additional information towards the end of the webinar as well. So I'd like to introduce our speaker today, Chris Walker. He's our Lexis Plus product specialist here at LexisNexis. Today he's going to walk through the key features and benefits of Lexis Plus and give us a demo of the product. He's even going to give us a sneak peek of the newly released Litigation Analytics feature as well. So we have a lot of cool information for you guys today. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and pass it over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Jalen. My name is Chris Walker, and today we are going to be taking a look at Lexis Plus. So what is Lexis Plus? It is a new end-to-end superior research and data-driven tool that gives you access to all the resources you need from beginning your filings, through the research process, through the transactional process, all the way through till you get to your end results. With no learning curve, you're able to get results via the most modern tools available in the industry. There's 3 key benefits we find to using Lexis Plus. Very simply stated, they're confidence, simplicity, and efficiency. Confidence is just as you see there. You get to be able to practice with confidence with the leading data-driven insights, surfacing the most accurate results from the most comprehensive collection of legal information tailored to your needs. Simplicity, leverage the simplicity of the most modern user experience in the industry to quickly and easily answer legal questions, develop winning strategies, and accomplish tasks with great clarity. And efficiency, practice with unprecedented efficiency with the all-in-one integration of legal workflows and no disruption to your line of thinking as you navigate research, strategy, and task completion. There are some key features we're going to focus on today. Missing and must include the search tree, code compare, Shepard's at risk, brief analysis, the search term map, Ravel view, Lexis answers, integrated practical guidance, and as Jalen mentioned, the newly integrated litigation analytics tool. We're going to kind of touch on all of those here today. So, without any further ado, if you bear with me just a second while I get things pulled up, we'll dive into the product. So, this is the new Lexis Plus. For those of you who are familiar with Lexis and use Lexis Advance, you're going to find that all the content that you're used to being there is still there. And a lot of times it's still where you're used to it being. But some key changes. One is we've come in and we've modernized this system quite a bit. You can now come in and it's fresher, not as much clutter. You have the ability to switch between a dark mode, which is what I have here, or a light mode if you prefer that, whatever's most comfortable for your eyes. And we've also kind of created the system to help guide you through whatever you're working on. If you look here on the left-hand side, you're going to see we have 4 different icons in what we call our experience dock. So 4 kind of different experiences built within this tool. So we have the traditional legal research here. We have practical guidance, which is kind of the more transactional tool. If the internet will catch up to me today. We have litigation analytics that we'll take a quick look at later. And then we also have brief analysis, which we'll also take a look at. Every time you click on one of those, you see it's going to change your experience. It's going to be asking that different question here at the top. Below this, you're going to have your search bar, And below that, you're going to have the same kind of Explore content box that you may be familiar with from other versions of Lexis. This is one way you can come in and use the tool. You can easily come in, access cases, statutes, different types of content you're looking for. Whether you're looking for federal, state, practice area, different sources, all of that is here as well. One new feature to the Explore content box is where we have this kind of highlight section, where as things become kind of big in the practice area of law, we're going to pull up highlights and give you resources to those. So obviously we can see here COVID-19, kind of big across the country and touching about just every part of the practice of law. We're going to pull a list of resources that you have quick and easy access to there. Social justice resources, kind of everything that's been happening in that area as well. We're going to pull those resources up. So if that's what you're looking for, you have quick and easy access. But let's go ahead and start talking about some of the enhancements we've made as well. And one of the biggest first enhancements we made is with the search bar itself. Because now we've taken our original natural language search and we've taken it into the next step by adding in some artificial intelligence and improving our Lexis answer system. So you're now able to come in and type in a question of what you're looking for. So I can type in, for instance, what is the statute of limitations for fraudulent conversion in California? And when I run the search, it's not going to just run a search. It's going to pull back results, but it's also going to be asking that question. And now the very top of our results page here is going to be pulling up those answers based off case law. And if you'll notice, it's even pulling it in specifically California results because I made that specification. If I hadn't specified a jurisdiction, it would have done in general. But because I did, it's going to focus in on that jurisdiction for me. So I can come through here, see these various different answers, and get an answer to that question pulled from the relevant case law. Going back to our main page, I'm going to come in here and run a different search. I'm going to take a look at just sort of natural language searching, and I'm going to run a search for attorney, labor, contract, negligence. So as you're running these searches, we've made quite a few different enhancements here. One is that missing and must include I mentioned earlier. As you run this kind of natural language search, if on any of your results, similar to like how on Google, you'll sometimes run a search and if it doesn't, one of your terms isn't included in that result, it'll show you. We're going to do the same thing here. So we're going to look here at this I'm not going to try to pronounce that, this case here. And we can see here in this result, currently labor contract does not show up here. If I want to force that all my results must include labor contract, all you have to do is come over here to where it says must include, click that, and it's going to force my results to now include that. So it gives me that extra way to make sure I'm focusing on the cases that are of most importance to me, making it very easy to find what I'm looking for. The other feature that we've added to make finding your results easier is the search term map. When you run a search within Lexis Plus, your results are going to be pulled up here, and on all those, you're going to see a bar. And on that bar, you're going to see highlight colors appearing. And if you'll look at the top of our screen here, you can see each of our terms has been assigned a specific color. So this search term map goes through and identifies kind of the key locations within the case where my search terms are appearing and highlights them, and then shows me this bar to show me where they're appearing and where they're appearing in regards to each other, making it much, much easier to go in and identify those cases that are going to actually be relevant to what I'm looking for. Because I can see, okay, my terms are appearing quite frequently and appearing together. Additionally, the text you see there is going to be the actual text that corresponds to that highlighted section. So not only do I see where my terms are appearing, I see where they're appearing together, and I can actually read through and see what they're saying. Now, let's say we went through and we applied a bunch of filters to this, and we'll go ahead and just do that. As an example here, we're going to apply one filter. And I'm just going to change the year here. and look back to 1799. We'll look to 1845 instead. Okay, to apply that filter. Let's say, as I've been going through, I've been applying filters. I now want to go back in and kind of change my base search, but I want to keep my main filters in place where they are. I can do that. All I have to do is come up here to this little pencil icon I see here, click on that, and now I can come in and change anything I want here. So if I want to go ahead and drop negligence, hit OK, and it's going to keep my filters in place. So I don't have to go in and kind of recreate the wheel if I just want to change my base search and keep the same filters. I can just go in and make that one little change. Going back to our main page, I can also click here, see here where it says Run New Search. It's going to bring up my search bar, and I can start from here. I'm going to go back to the main page, though. And while we can, of course, as you saw, filter after we've run our search, we can also filter beforehand as well by coming here to either selecting a different category of content that we're interested in or a different jurisdiction that I may be interested in. So it gives me that as well. But I'm going to run a different search real quick. It's going to be the same search, but this time I'm going to use some terms and connectors to build So when I run this terms and connector search here, we're going to pull back only 6 results, which seems a little low. And we still have our search term map here. But now, because I'm using this terms and connector search, if I come back up here to my results, my terms here, I'm going to see this little tree looking like icon. I can click on that icon, and now it's going to kind of map out how my search terms and my terms and connectors are working together. What's causing this to be the number of results I see? So I can see here from with attorney and labor together, that's 10,000 plus results. Contract and negligence together, that was 10,000 plus results. When I then combined that with sentence of carnival, that took us down to 82 results. And then when I combined all of that, that's what took us down to 6 results. So anytime I'm running a search, if I get back a number of results I expected less than what I got, or I expected more and I got a few, this makes it very easy to go in and identify what's going on. So I don't have to spend 20, 30 minutes digging through trying to figure out why my results are coming back the way they are. I can click that little tree and very quickly see this is what's going on. This is why I'm seeing what I am. All right. Another view that's within here is something called Ravel View. If you come up here in the top right corner, you're going to see we have 4 different icons. We have the pie graph button. What this pie graph is doing is it's showing us the search term map and giving us that tree. But then I also have one here at the end that looks like it's something out of science class called Ravel View. And when I click on that, it's going to pull up a chart. And actually, I'm going to change my search there. I apologize. I'll go back to our initial search. So we're here in Ravel View. It's going to pull up this chart that's going to show me kind of the cases that are most cited to for those result lists. And it's going to show me those cases that they have cited back to that case. So Ravel View works to help you identify the most influential cases faster, and even to uncover overlooked cases that don't get used quite as much, but are still going in and can be useful to your case. So as you see here on the graph, the larger the circle it is, the more times it's been cited to. So for instance, we see here, this is the biggest circle on our graph. And when I select that case, it selects it here in my result list. So here I can see my cases here on the right, but it's also going to go and highlight all those other cases that have citing relationship with it. Just makes it very easy, again, to go and see what citing relationships exist, which cases are the most influential, and we're even color coding the lines here so you can see where the Shepherd's treatment's been integrated as well to see, do these subsequent cases treat your case well, or do they distinguish themselves? Have they reversed anything? you're going to be able to see that quite easily just by the color coding of the lines. Additionally, other features that you may be familiar with are still here as well. You still have the ability to set an alert based off any search you run, so you can go and see what's going on, get notifications whenever new results come in. Folders are still available to save your results into by coming up here to the 3 dot icons here in the top right. You can come in here and access alerts, notifications, and then folders are here as well. All those features that you're familiar with are still here, and still where you can get to them. But now let's take a look at Shepherds and one of our most exciting new enhancements, the at-risk feature. So I'm going to pull up a case here. So whenever we're looking at our results, our cases, on the right-hand side here, as you may be familiar with from older versions of Lexis, is going to be your Shepherds box. But the new feature is this at-risk button. Whenever a case has kind of something that puts it at risk, that's going to appear here. So what makes something at risk? What triggers this is when a case that your case relies on has subsequently been reversed or overruled without citing to your case. So for instance, here with this Dura v. State Farm's case, we can see here we have 2 passages that are showing as at risk. And they're at risk because they've been undermined because they rely on an overruled prior decision. So we can see our Dura case here relied on and cited to Cohen v. Allstate. But subsequently, Cohen v. Allstate has now been overruled by Reagan v. Mallow. So right there, even though my Dura case has never been touched, I know, because of this at-risk feature, that I need to be very careful. Because if I'm relying on this Dura case for something that it then pulled from Cohen, that's probably not a good argument for me anymore. I need to go and find something else. On the other hand, it can also show me that, hey, no, what I want to use this for hasn't been touched by this, so I'm good. Just gives you that additional layer of being able to know that you are relying on good case law. So let's go ahead and move over, and we're going to take a look at practical guidance now. To get to practical guidance, I'm going to come over here again to my experience doc and click on that icon. And you're going to see it's changed a little bit. Now, instead of what do I want to research, what task would you like to accomplish today? Practical guidance is going to give you access to various practice notes, experts, forums, and checklists covering 21 different practice areas and 17 different industries, providing you guidance and insight from leading practitioners at 97 of the AmLaw 100's firms. So you're going to see here, the screen's going to look very similar still. We can still have our Explore Content box here where we come in and select different practice areas. Go over here to Industry and select one there. For today, I'm going to stick with Practice Area, and we're going to come over here to Labor and Employment. Click on that. And when I do that, it's going to bring you to the main page here for Labor and Employment content. Again, this is only going to be looking at labor and employment content when we're clicked into here. And you can see we have various content types, practice notes, clauses, articles, checklists. And I can come in here if I know there's a specific thing I'm looking for. I can come in here and run a search for it. I can go in and browse by content type. I can go in and specify my jurisdiction, all of that here. But for today, I'm going to come over here to my task list, because I can also go in based on what I'm needing to accomplish today, find all the content we have, and go to that. So I'm going to expand out wage and hour here. I'm going to click on independent contractors. When I do that, it's now going to pull up a dashboard that's going to show me kind of the highlights of what we have here. So we can see we have various practice notes, core documents, templates, checklists, and core documents. What that means is these are the documents that have been identified as some of the most widely used and considered essential by various practitioners that have used this tool. I'm going to click over here to practice notes. And you can see now that I've clicked into there, I'm going to see a listing of all the different content we have. So we have different agreements, And you're going to also see that they're being identified based off of jurisdiction. So we can see here is one for Arkansas, if I remember the acronym correctly. If they're non-jurisdictional, they'll say that. And so it just gives you that extra layer. I'm going to go ahead and click on this one. And as I mentioned earlier, this content is created by experts in the field. And by expert in the field, we don't mean someone who retired 20 years ago and is just implementing their retirement. No, these are practicing attorneys who, again, are at some of the largest law firms across the nation working, and we identify them. So we can see that this particular one was drafted by Jeff Bosley from Davis Wright Tremaine. And additionally, on top of drafting this, Mr. Bosley updates this document as well. He reviews it and makes sure it stays up to date. You can see as of December of last year, he reviewed this document and said it is still current. They have to go in and do that every so often. That's part of their contract of creating the material for us. If they aren't doing that, we remove the material from the website so that you can always know that you are relying on the most up-to-date documents possible. Going back to our result page here, you also have the ability to come in and filter this down, just like you would in any of Lexis service based on industry jurisdiction. And I'm going to come up here and click on templates now. And so these templates are, again, created by those same experts that are creating these documents for us. I'm going to go ahead and click on this consulting agreement long form. This particular one is drafted by an attorney from Whitmore Mendelson. And again, it looks like it's going to be coming up for it needs to be updated here very soon. And we're going to provide you different drafting notes and clauses that can go into this. So if you're coming in to draft a consulting agreement, obviously you probably have some of your own forms as well, but this just gives you that additional layer of security. You can come in and look at drafting notes. And when you select one of those, it's going to highlight the section that applies to, and it's going to show you why is that drafted the way it is. Why did we do that? It's going to provide alternate clauses. Here's something else you can do instead. And at times, you'll even have drafting notes for those alternate clauses. So it works to make it very easy for you to go in on any topic that you're working on, look at a practice note, get a very good idea of what's going on, and then go look at the templates and be able to craft with confidence using the updated ones available here, along with your own experience, your own documents, and create the best document for your clients. Additionally, all this content is available even while you are still back here in the legal research tab. So even if you're not here in practical guidance, those resources are going to be pulling up through your legal research search as well. All right. Next, let's take a look at brief analysis, which is one of my personal favorite tools that we've added. So what does brief analysis do? Is it allows you to kind of upload either your brief or an opposing counsel's brief to this. So for instance, I'm going to come here, click Browse, and I'm going to upload a sample brief of mine. It's going to scan through the document. Now, while it's doing that, one thing I want to reinforce here is we are not saving your document to our system when we do this. As you're uploading this document, it is only within the system as long as you have your window open. As soon as you close out a brief analysis or close the window, it is gone. We do not save it, so you don't have any privacy concerns there. It's all locked away. Once it's scanned your document, what it's going to do is it's going to use our proprietary artificial intelligence, and it's going to go through and pull out some different concepts within your brief that it identifies as the kind of legal concepts you're working with. So you can see it pulled out 40 concepts from my brief here, from Fair Labor Standards Act, volume of sale, regularly conducted activity, all these different legal concepts. Based on that, it's going to then go and check to see is there any other cases that you may want to look at based off your extracted concepts and jurisdiction and things like that. Additionally, it's going to go and identify are there any similar briefs that you might want to look at for comparison. Again, when we say similar briefs, this is not briefs that have been uploaded through the brief analysis tool. These are briefs that we've pulled in through CourtLink and briefs, pleadings, and motions that are already part of the Lexis database. They aren't being pulled in through this brief analysis tool. And then it's also going to pull your cited to documents, kind of show you what's the Shepherd's reports for these documents. Are there any cases that we need to be concerned about? Are there any cases that we love the way they are? It's going to give you that. This is where it can also be very useful to run your opponent's brief for this, as you'll be able to identify, did they rely on any case law that is now showing as warning where it's been overturned or overruled? Kind of see the concepts they're dealing with. Are there any cases they chose not to use that you might want to see if you can use to your advantage? It gives you that extra step. Let's take a look at the case recommendation. What it's going to do is it's going to come in and highlight your paragraph here where it found recommended cases. I'm going to say there's 5 recommendations. When I click on that, it's going to show me those cases, and it's going to show me the legal concepts that caused it to say that this may be a case you may want to look for. Now, one thing I do want to stress, these may not necessarily be cases that support your argument. It's just going to pull up cases that deal with that same content. So even if you put your brief in here and it pulls up things and they don't support your argument, at least it gives you heads up of this might be what my opponent does. It gives you that extra layer. And so you can go through here, review these, and decide if you want to add them in. You cannot add them in through this database. Brief analysis cannot touch your document in any way, cannot make any changes to it, but at least pulls up and shows you, hey, here's some other cases we may want to take a look at. The similar briefs tab will give you LinkedIn access to those other briefs that are similar based on, again, matching sites, matching legal concepts, matching jurisdiction. So you can quickly go into these, and because this is all part of Lexis Plus, if I click on one of these, it's going to load in that brief for me directly in there. And then it also just pulls a listing of all the documents you cited to. So you can come in and review them and see how they've been treated. Or if you're, again, loading your opposing counsels in, very quick, easy access to what they cited to. Finally, let's do a quick sneak peek at our Litigation Analytics tool, which is brand new. And so what Litigation Analytics does is it gives you access to detailed, high-level information on courts, judges, attorneys, or law firms that you may be interested in. For instance, I'm going to run a search here for a federal judge by the name of Judge Atlas, Nancy Atlas. When I typed in her name there, I ran our search. It pulled up our result list here, and this federal district judge is who I happen to be looking for. I'm going to click on her, and it's going to pull up detailed information on Judge Atlas. I can see how many cases have been filed with her over the years. How busy is she? I can get a view of what types of cases have been filed with her. Is it a topic that she deals with a lot, or is it a topic that she doesn't see very often? So for instance, here I can see that she's been involved in a lot of employment cases, but not involved in a lot of environmental cases. So right there, I know if I'm appearing in front of Judge Atlas, this helps me know how much detail I need to be putting into my briefs. Lets me see time to key events. How long does it take this judge to complete different activities? How long does it take her to grant or deny a motion to dismiss, motion for summary judgment? How long does it take for her cases to get to trial in front of her, etc.? And then I can also see how many damages have been awarded by Judge Atlas in the cases that she's presided over. That she presided on a lot of high-value ones, some more lower value, etc. I can see that. Alternatively, I can also run a search for an attorney. I'm going to search here for attorney with the last name of Person, Carl Person is what I'm looking for. Click on them, and I'm going to get that same kind of information. But here we're going to break out, because attorneys can appear both in federal and state courts, obviously, we're going to break out federal and state data. So let's see, based on his federal experience, these are the cases he's had, filed by year, of course he's filed in front of, the party he's usually representing, his timeline, when he's involved in things, damages he's received, and then I can go over to state and get that kind of information for state as well. Finally, there is a comparison tool here as well. where you can go in and compare the various courts and judges together or compare counsel to each other as well. We'll just do a court as an example here, and I'm going to do Judge Atlas again, and she's part of the Southern District of Texas. So we'll do that. So we'll compare her to the rest of the court that she's part of. And we could put up to 4 courts of judges here, but we'll just stick with these 2 for right now. Click Compare Court and Judge, and we can see we'll get comparison. So the blue line here is Judge Atlas's versus the orange line for the Southern District of Texas as a whole. So we can see Southern District of Texas is very busy, and she's getting a decent chunk of that. Again, cases by type. But here's where things get very interesting, is you can compare the timing events to each other. So we can actually see here that Judge Atlas is quicker to get to a dismissal, like, on average, than the Southern District of Texas is as a whole. And you can see she's faster in a lot of events, it seems. She's faster to summary judgment, faster to trial, faster to termination. And then you can see comparison of damages awarded as well. So this gives you a very detailed look at the involvement of your court or opposing counsel in various practice areas and what their experience is and what their caseload is, making it very easy to kind of strategize and plan out your own filings. And with that, I think we can open up to questions. And that is kind of a quick run through.
Alrighty, Chris, I thank you for walking us through that. Everybody, as Chris said, we will go ahead and move into the Q&A portion now. So any questions you have, go ahead and put them right there in chat. Again, that's at the bottom right-hand side of your screen, and I'll go ahead and take a look through, and I can go ahead and ask Chris those questions. So let me take a look here. Let's start with a few. Can you touch on a few of the enhancements that kind of between Lexis to now Lexis Plus that kind of those features are resonating well with current customers?
Certainly. So there's a couple ones that are I personally find to be great and have had kind of the most experience, most success with. And if you'll bear with me, I'm going to pull up one of our older searches real quick. So some of the enhancements that are kind of bringing back the kind of biggest wow and kind of the biggest time savers I've found is this search term map. Our color coding here that makes it very easy to go in and identify where your key terms are being used and how often they're being used. I know from my own personal experience while I was practicing that there is more than a few instances where I spent way too much time reading the wrong cases that ended up not being useful to me. This tool, before I came to work at Lexis, an older version of this tool, worked to make it very easy to identify cases without spending the 15, 20, 30 minutes reading through the case. I can go through and browse those key locations where my terms are appearing and get a much better idea, is this case worth that further investigation? Another feature that I know is getting a lot of attention is that search tree I pointed out earlier, because, again, especially if you're not as comfortable using terms and connectors or you only use them when you use something specific, the frustration when you would run a search and get back far fewer results than you were expecting, this takes that away, because now you can come in, okay, I thought I should get more results. Let's go back and see why. And now you're able to go in and kind of identify and remap your way back to get those results that you were expecting. The other really big one that I always like to talk about multiple times, because it takes one of my favorite tools already, the Shepherd's tool, and makes it infinitely better, is that Shepherd's at risk. Because it makes it very easy to identify a case that might, on the face of it, look very, very good. Might deals with what you need it to, doesn't have any negative treatment, but it identifies those risks that you may not be able to see at that service level. And this is something that only Lexis Plus provides. We're the only one that gives this extra layer so that you can be very confident when you're citing to a case, you know what the underlying looks like. You know what the territory you're basing off of looks like. So those are my 3 biggest.
Certainly. We appreciate you walking us through those. So through those few. I'll go ahead and take a look at a few more questions. So, is Lexis Plus a separate product from our normal Lexis accounts?
It is separate from your older Lexis Advanced account, yes. And it can come in to be kind of a replacement for it.
Yes. So there was also the additional kind of question: how do we move from regular Lexis to Lexis Plus?
So you will be having some account reps that will be reaching out to you, or you have your account reps who will be reaching out to you, and they can walk you through what that process would be.
Definitely. We appreciate that. So when in Search Tree, can you edit your search live in that window?
So yes. Going back up. Sorry, just a second while my internet catches up to us. So from here, you can come in and select those different boxes, and it'll change to that section. So where I clicked on right here, it went ahead and adjusted that. Alternatively, that you can again come to this pencil icon here, and while still having that tree up to look at, you can come in here and make edits and change things as needed. So I can go in and let's say our and here between attorney and labor and all this. Let's see if I change that to an or. This is an example. I'll click OK. And now we're up to 56 results, and I can click on the tree again and see what that difference is. So it changed the or up here. I apologize.
Okay. Thank you for walking through that one as well. So this one is a question about the practical guidance. So are the same enhancements in Lexis Plus also offered in the regular practical guidance that they currently have a subscription to?
So no, that the other practical guidance that isn't here part of Lexis Plus is still on the older framework, the older software that Lexis is part of. The other Lexis version is part of. The practical guidance features, I mean, some of them are still there. Of course, you're still going to have where they're still being drafted by experts in the field. They're still drafting notes. There's still alternate clauses. Those are all still there, but you don't have any of the additional features that are Lexis Plus features, such as being able to search those practical guidance within legal research, or being able to use the search term map and the search tree and things like that. Those are not part of the older practical guidance.
Okay, thank you for that answer as well. Just a couple more, really. One, I wanted this one's specifically one of my favorite things. So one of the new enhancements from kind of if they were familiar with Lexis Answers in regular Lexis or Lexis Advanced, and kind of the new enhancements that Lexis Answers offers.
So, there is a world of difference between the Lexis Answers and the original and the old Lexis system versus the Lexis Answers here in Lexis Plus. In the old Lexis system, you had a set of questions you could ask. You could ask things like, what is the duty to disclose? What is duty disclosed? So you can ask those very broad questions and pull back results from using legal dictionaries and case law. What you can now do within Lexis Plus is you can go in and do very specific questions like what we did earlier. So I can go in here and do just about anything I want. What is the duty to disclose fraud in California? I'm just creating one here. And it's going to work and recognize what I typed in there and search within the case law to find that answer for me. And because I went in and added that specific jurisdiction, it's going to restrict itself to that jurisdiction as well. And so it's going to pull those answers that way. So where on the old system you could do kind of the broad legal topic, legal concept searching and get answers, here you can go in and create specific questions, and it's going to go find those specific answers for you.
Definitely. I appreciate that. So there seems to be one more question in chat. They wanted to kind of clarify on that practical guidance. They said they do have the other practical guidance subscription. They wanted to clarify on whether they could use the tasks feature or not.
Yes. So if you go in and look at the task feature is there. So if you came in here, and again, I'll just go in labor and employment for this example. In the older version, the other version of Practical Guidance, this task list is there as well. So you can come in here and browse through based on the task you're working on. That is there. It's just the enhanced search and filtering capability that comes with Lexis Plus.
Thank you for answering that one as well. Kind of one last to wrap up. This one is, I used Lexis in law school. How does that compare? How does Lexis Plus compare? Excuse me.
Without knowing exactly when law school was, depending on whether we're talking about Lexis.com or the old Lexis Advance, the old Lexis Advance is what I'm going to base this off of. And essentially what it does is a lot of the features you're used to from Lexis Advance are going to still be here. You're going to come in, you can see our Explorer content is still there. All the content you're used to being there is there. Essentially what we've added, though, are some of those features that we were talking about throughout. So, I mean, the search term app, Lexis Advance had a version of that. We've refined it even more. Search term tree is new. The at-risk shepherds feature is an enhancement that's only within Lexis Plus. A lot of those kind of advanced features that we were talking about and that I was highlighting, missing the must include, the integration where practical guidance materials can be searched within Lexis Plus without necessarily having to be in the practical guidance module, the litigation analytics module that's available here, the brief analysis module. Those are all enhancements that are only available in Lexis Plus. They aren't part of Lexis Advance. So that's some kind of those advancements that are different.
Alrighty, thanks for answering that one. I know that's a lot to confine to one or two sentences to talk about all the new things in there. So, so if there will be no more questions, that seems to be all of them. So before we end, I just want to first thank you, Chris, for helping us through this walkthrough, and then I'd like to thank all of our attendees. So all of you who are attending right now, you'll be getting an email with a recording of the webinar so you can reference later, and we'll include some additional info like how to start your 7-day trial and some other things. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Obviously, if you have any questions further, you can reach out to a LexisNexis representative, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks you guys for attending again.